Welcome back. As I mentioned, we have Kay Havens here from the El Toro Water District. Well, Kay, welcome to the studio.
It's so great to be here again. It feels like we're getting out, and even though we have that variant, it's very nice to come in and talk to you this morning.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much. And of course, what's on everybody's minds is, what are we going to do because we haven't had much rain? And so I think we're a little worried about going back in time where we're going to have to start cutting back, and kind of reliving some of those days where we didn't have enough water.
Well, we're in a situation where we are as dry as one of the driest periods on record back in 1977. So
wow.
The amount of rainfall that's fallen in California has been remarkably low, especially low in Northern California and down here even. So if you look at the graph, you'll see that to date, you can see the orange dot, we're down in the lowest of the low. And these numbers are actually for Northern California. In Southern California, we get even less. So last year, we only got 5 inches of rain. Normally, we get about 13.
Oh, wow.
So if you can imagine, that's a lot of water that's missing from our delivery system.
Exactly. Now, and when these things happen, you wonder if that doesn't mean that rain will be coming.
We
right?
certainly hope so, but even if it does, it's going to take a couple years to fill things up again because they're at such a low level now.
Right.
Luckily, Southern California has done a better job than Northern California because we've always been historically dry. So we've done a great job of building infrastructure. So
exactly, and we've talked several times about that over the year, where you have the reservoirs locally, you've got other things that you're doing in other parts of California. Let's look at the dry conditions here. We were talking about how dry it has been, and please tell me a little bit more about this photo we're looking at.
So we get El Toro has 100% imports of water. And normally we would be getting 35% of our water from what's called the State Water Project. And this year we're only getting 5%. We might be cut off entirely. So it's pushed all of our demands onto the Colorado River.
Right.
Statewide, we're looking at reducing water usage just to make sure that if we are to be dry for the next couple of years, we're going to be okay. Because if we keep using it the way we're using it, there's been a little bump in our service area. People have actually been using 7% more water, where historically they've been using about 30% less. So we need to get back to those behaviors that we had even a year and a half ago and start conserving that water, not letting the faucet run any longer than we need to. So, and being careful what we do with our water.
But what happened, excuse me, why is it that we got cut off?
Because curiously, Northern California has always gotten great water. So they have not had to store water. Their reservoir system is not as robust. They don't do the groundwater recharge that we do down here. So their supplies are very low. And if you look at the pictures of Lake Oroville here, for example, I was here 2 years ago, and it was full to the brim. If you remember those news events where they had the spillway was overflowing some years ago, and people were very worried about Lake Oroville and the dam there, that's been completely rebuilt at great expense. And now there's no water. They're actually having to hoist the houseboats out, and they're worried that they're even going to have to turn off the power supply because the power plant that works out of that is not going to have enough water to operate from. Wow. So some of these things are very big problems, especially for Northern California, which hasn't had to deal with this before because they're used to getting 20, 40, even more inches of rain per year. And that just hasn't happened the last 2 years.
Let's talk a little bit about Lake Mead, because the last time that we talked to the El Toro Water District, Lake Mead was it was so low. And how does that affect what we're dealing with here?
And up into Lake Powell as well. It's the same situation. Okay, so Northern California has been unusually dry, as has the upper basin up into Colorado and points north. Had not gotten the rainfall that we usually get. You've heard stories of how the snow has hit the ground and melted.
Exactly.
So that's a big problem. Our old paradigm of storing water in that great sponge of snow is not happening quite as well. So you'll see that we have a lot of storage here in Southern California. And we have enough to draft off of for several years, but that doesn't mean we should be foolish with that water, because we don't know if this is going to go on for 1 year, 2 years, and as I said, it will take some time to build up supplies again. So starting now is going to help us later.
Well, and you guys have been doing such a good job over the last couple of years where you have all of those storage areas, and I guess the last time that we talked, there was one, I can't remember the name of it. Is this the one in is it Santa Margarita? You have a big cover over the top of it.
Yes, our big R6 reservoir.
Okay, and you guys are looking to maybe get a new cover for that at some
Yes,
point.
it's going to be a very expensive project.
Right.
And, you know, things like this do affect projects like that as well.
Right.
So whether we're going to be able to dovetail something together or, you know, we're hoping to get that going in the next couple of years because its time has come.
But nonetheless, like you said, those projects is what's helping us today.
Absolutely. Without that reservoir, we would be having to rely on pumping from different areas.
Right.
We wouldn't have, if there was an earthquake, we wouldn't have a reliable supply for, you know, weeks at a time.
yeah.
And that's what's important. If something goes offline, having local reservoirs is huge for our reliability and in an emergency.
Right, and we do need to prepare, and especially if we do have an earthquake. Now, of course, poor Haiti just had that
yes.
7.2 magnitude earthquake, and you know that could happen at any time here. What are some things that people should consider when there is an emergency? I've always wondered, how much water do they need to have?
You need to have at least a gallon a day per person, and don't forget your pets. So make sure that you have, you know, at least a week's worth of supply. They say 3 to 5 before things
Okay.
come back online again.
Okay.
Because even if things get knocked offline a little bit, you know, there's that old saying, you know, fill up your bathtub if you can, because, you know, once the lines are disturbed, they have to go through and make sure that they flush them and make sure they're clean again. So you want to have at least minimum 3 to 5, you know, on the safe side a week.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
perfect. Let's talk about some preparedness things that we're going to be needing to do. I mean, you mentioned already making sure that our water isn't running, and we try to remind people a variety of different things. You know, take those 5-minute showers. Yeah, right. Like it's hard to take a 5-minute shower.
So on that note, Lisa, I brought you something.
What did you bring?
Because the last time we got to joking about having a good-looking bucket in here, and so we brought you a good-looking bucket.
Oh, I love it.
Lisa.
That's right. And it even has their logo
Has our
on it.
logo
Oh my gosh,
on
that
it.
is so cute. Well, what do you have in here?
And in here in Laguna Woods, you are actually eligible for these lovely
the
free
little
shower
water saver
heads,
ones,
the
yeah.
water saver showers, shower heads. You just take off the old one, screw on the new one.
Right.
Use a little Teflon tape for
Right.
your plumbing. But there's all kinds of goodies here for you.
Oh, you're so cute.
Things
Thank
that you can use in your car instead of having to use water bottles over and over again.
Oh, smart.
There's some water conservation literature, and should our customers want any of this, you can always call the district and say, you know, how do I get my, you know, low flow shower head?
Okay.
We usually have a supply here at, you know, the community center, so come on down.
Okay.
We also have the toilet tabs to make that you can put in your toilet tank to make sure that your toilet is not leaking. That's a very common problem to have. Kind of the silent, you know, sneaky thief of water where it kind of drips and drips
Yeah.
and drips. So we have those free.
Okay.
There are other things that you can do at home. There's this a very funny, it's kind of cute, and I thought you might get a kick out of it, a dish squeegee, where instead of using, I knew you'd like
What
that.
is she talking about?
Instead of rinsing and rinsing and rinsing your
You
plates,
can squeegee them.
you squeegee them into the
My
trash,
gosh,
and then
that's
you don't need as much water. So, of course, a fork works as well, but
Yeah.
who doesn't want a dish
Squeegee.
squeegee?
Well, now why
So-
didn't we invent that?
To save all
And, you
that
know,
water.
I'm sure in the middle of the night we're seeing an infomercial about a dish squeegee.
So
Right?
every drop, we're going to get back to that every drop counts
Yeah.
situation.
Exactly.
Luckily here we recycle water. So of that 100%, 20% of that water does come back to our customers and is used on the landscapes.
Okay.
So luckily we do have that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Reclaimed water has been a real helpful thing. But you know, one thing I think people need to remember about reclaimed water: don't let your pets drink it.
Well, usually it's not where they're going to be able to drink it
Okay.
anyhow. You know, if you're letting your pet stop and drink from the gutter, boo on you.
Yeah, ew.
But if you normally it has a little bit of extra chlorine, which dissipates into the air very quickly.
Okay.
You'll smell it, sometimes when it's going off, but that's what keeps it safe.
What about kids running through the sprinklers? Is that okay?
Most of the sprinklers go off at night here.
Okay.
I think if you were going to do that in a single-family residence, you'd probably be hooking it up to a hose bib.
Okay.
And then probably keep the time on that at a
Yeah.
minimum.
Well, exactly, because
Yeah.
it just kind of goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Just looking at a couple of the water savings tips, we have fixing leaks, like you mentioned with the toilet. Saving water is something we're always trying to do, and I know that there's a lot of things in place here in the village, especially with that hand. When you're washing your car, there's requirements that you have to have one of those sprayers.
Hose and shut off. Mhm.
Right, the hose shut
Yeah.
off. Watering wisely, making sure, like you said, if you're going to let kids do something through the sprinklers, make sure that that's cut off. And then taking action. What do you mean about taking action?
That's instead of just thinking about it, actually doing it. So making a plan for yourself at home. So these, very simple steps. Taking the little bit, a shorter shower, full loads in the laundry, the things that we know, but sometimes we don't know, don't actually follow through on.
Right.
The dishwasher, loading a full dishwasher. We know all these things. We've been doing them for years.
Right.
It's just over the last couple of years, we've gotten a little lax, so it's time to tighten it up again. Right. We can do this. When this happens, we've actually been known to go down as much as 30%,
Right.
which is wonderful. So just kind of be aware that this is a situation is going on now, and should it go on for several years, it's very frightening. So
Yeah.
let's get after it now.
Well, I'm glad we have you guys on, because then you can help remind us, because for sure it's always a reminding situation, because we tend to just be, like you said, we just got used to it. It was easy. So thank you for coming on. Now, if somebody would like more information about any of the items that are in my new bucket, where would they go?
The best thing to do is just go to El Toro Water, ETWD.com, www.etwd.com. You can check out our website. There's all kinds of sources on there for different ways to save water, especially in the landscapes. And and throughout your day, there's little things that you can do. So
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for my bucket of goodies. And of course, if somebody is interested in getting the low flow shower heads, they can do that right here at the community service.
And the toilet tabs.
And the toilet tabs, definitely. Well, thank you again. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. All
And
right.
enjoy your plate sweep.
I love it, enjoying my new bucket. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, and remember, if you want more information about what we've just discussed, or to get some of these nice goodies inside this bucket here, you can always go to etwd.com. We'll be right back. Thank you. That's so cute.